All right, Rutgers fans. Big win today over Miami of Ohio, 45-17. Pat Lanny here with Steve Politi from home. We'll call this Couch Politi, Pat Lanny Press Box. And let's break it all down, Steve. The offense looked great today. Defense still a work in progress, but a little bit better.
Yeah.
What do you think?
I mean, that's
What's
pretty
your
much
initial
it.
reaction?
Yeah. I mean, that's one of the benefits of being at home. I could listen to Phil Simms talk for 4.5 hours today. And one of the points he made late on, he's like, I think the one thing we answered today, we like the Rutgers wide receivers. Yeah. And that is like there could not be a more, captain obvious statement. I mean, all three of those guys were great, but Ian Strong, he's going to have a record-setting type year. Just looking at the numbers tonight, he was just fantastic. And you say that, and it's funny because Ian Strong, I think of him like as one of the best in the country at making catches in traffic. I mean, KJ Duff was that tonight. I mean, he made a couple. The touchdown catch was phenomenal. He had another play where he turned around and made a nice play late in the game to kind of, as they're running out the clock in that last touchdown drive. Miami just had nothing couldn't cover them, so they were mugging them. I mean, the number of penalties, grabbing jerseys. I mean, it was just really an impressive show, and I cannot remember the last time a group of Rutgers playmakers dominated the game like that.
No doubt. It was a career day for Ethan Kaliakmanis through the air, 26-36, 259 yards, 4 touchdowns. Ian Strong, a career day in receptions, yards, 2 touchdowns, 9 catches, 116 yards, 2 scores. Those guys were on fire. Like you said, KJ Duff, also a strong game, 6 catches, 71 yards, touchdown. Really, the offense did whatever it wanted in this game, and those receivers were open on every play. I can't emphasize that enough. The separation that they created made this such an easy day for Kaliakmanis, to his credit, still made the throws. So I ask you this, Steve, how impressed were you with the receivers? How impressed were you with Kaliakmanis? And then we'll talk about the defense after that.
Yeah, I thought Ethan was very good, and a couple of times the receivers bailed him out. The one throw was behind Strong on the touchdown. He got it, but he's learned that you can throw it into traffic, and these guys are going to get it. You can throw it up. KJ Duff is 6'6". The kid covering him, I think 6'1". That these are advantages that Rutgers is exploiting against these teams. And I think, I haven't seen anything that lead me to believe it's not going to be something that's going to, it's going to be there in the Big Ten as well. Like I was just really impressed with both of them. I mean, remember, Kaliakmanis comes into the season, he's like, completion percentage in the 50s. I think he's hovering near, I don't know what it is. I think he's hovering near 70 right now. Today it was 72% today. It was higher than that last game. So it's in the 70s. If he can keep it in the 60s throughout the season, I mean, there's a lot to like from this offense. And we're not even talking about the running game.
Sure.
41 carries, 162 yards. Antoine Raymond's really good again, 2 touchdowns. It was hard to find many flaws there.
All right, Pat Lanny and Steve Politi here talking on the Rutgers postgame show, the Rutgers Rant postgame show. I think we have our mics on this week, which is a big improvement from a week ago. We'll be taking your questions in the chat below.
Volume helps, huh? Volume helps.
Our colleague Brian Fonseca is hitting the postgame press conferences right now, so we'll be taking you here for the next 15, 20 minutes. We'd like to make this as interactive as possible, so if you have questions, drop them in the chat here on YouTube. And we'll actually be able to get them on screen, I think, which is just showing how professional we are, Steve. Wow. I mean, this is next level stuff.
Speak for yourself. You'll get them on screen. I'm just going to see an answer. Try to.
We have two professionals, some of the best in the business coaching defenses, but the Rutgers unit has not looked sharp in 2 games. Again, it just seemed the final score may not indicate it, 45-17 Rutgers, but Miami of Ohio had some just plays that were head scratching from a Rutgers defensive perspective. Guys wide open downfield. The quarterback was running all over the place. So what was your reaction to the defense, and can it be fixed again?
I don't know. A lot of concerns on that side of the ball. And I will say this game could have been a lot closer. There was that turning point where Miami converts the long 3rd down play. It looks like they're going to be deep into Rutgers territory, and they get flagged for, what was a very borderline call. And I get it. I understand. Like, we look at the rule and they explain it on Peacock, and I it was a pick. Receiver made contact down the field. I understand that, but it didn't make a lot of contact, didn't affect the play a lot. Chuck Martin, he just lost his what. If that had gone the other way, this might have been a different game. That was sort of the turning point there. That said, the couple of things concern me about the defense until late in the game. I don't think I've ever seen more defensive linemen within a foot of a quarterback and unable to touch him. Right, it was just the entire game, and they have 5 guys standing there. Yeah. And finally they got the sack late, and they needed 3 guys to bring him down.
You saw the pressure in this game. The inability to bring him to the ground was really something else. But the play we haven't talked about too, Bo Masco with the early interception, that really changed. That was the game-changing play in the first half. Really, the momentous play that the Rutgers defense didn't have a week ago, but that was an encouraging sign. So,
yes. Yeah, the other thing we're talking about where you're concerned, Pat, like I have to believe these safeties are better than they've shown in the first 2 games. Like Kaj Sanders, it looked like he I don't know what misread. He on that long play in the third quarter he got lost.
Jet Elad got lost on the long pass in the first half as well. So two defensive breakdowns, no doubt about it. Level of concern about that? I mean, they're just mental miscues. High. I mean, okay. High.
It is high. Yeah. And it's because of it's like that. There's really nothing going well, right? Like I don't have confidence in the secondary. I haven't seen any evidence that defensive line is going to get pressure against a good opponent. They couldn't get pressure against MAC teams, right? They were pushed around twice against MAC teams. Oh, well, we will say, as you correctly predicted, my friend, Ohio's a better MAC team than West Virginia. So, but the Bobcats, we knew they were good. We said they were good. We said, don't panic. This was a good opponent. Maybe one of the, top opponents that the Rutgers will not top, but one of the middle of the pack opponents Rutgers will play. They beat West Virginia. So say that about them. That's one thing you can say. But yeah, I'm worried about it. I've got a lot of concerns about what I've seen so far from the defense.
No doubt. Okay, let's transition here. Let's try this out, Politi. I'm going to test my professional wit here. This is a question from Brendan Hawk. Why was the Miami coach so upset? Was it warranted?
Mispronounced Brendan's name. I went to high school with Brendan Hoke.
Hook.
Absolutely.
There you go.
Mentally high and hizzy.
Friend of the podcast.
Yes, he's got nothing to do. He lives in New Hampshire. He must be bored out of his mind, just sitting up there, nothing going on, asking
listening
questions.
To the Rutgers Rant postgame show.
Listen to the Rutgers Rant. I guess he's a Rutgers graduate in Ohio State. He's Ohio State grad school student. So, good, Bren. Why was Chuck Martin so mad? I mean, I think combination of many things, right? It seemed like he was angry at the world, angry at that call. Then the confusion at the end of the third quarter. I mean, that I thought if they had reversed that and given the ball back to Rutgers, Chuck Martin was going to just spontaneously combust, and the red sweater vest was just going to go on fire. I don't understand why they had to review that. I guess they're checking the clock to see if the ball had been snapped before the clock ran out. It clearly had been snapped. I don't know why that would have taken as long as it did. It seemed like they wanted the game to be 4.5 hours. But yeah, he had a lot of things. He seems like Chuck's a bit of a runs hot normally, but he had a lot to be angry about here.
It was a tough day for Miami. Rutgers really controlled a lot of the game. So I want to point out 3 stats that I jotted down in the notebook before we move to the next segment. So total plays, Rutgers 76, Miami 40. Rutgers time of possession, 40 minutes to Miami's 20.
Wow.
That kind of shows how much the offense was on the field, how much it dominated. Mm-hmm. And to further highlight that stat, Rutgers has now scored 30 or more points in 6 straight games. That's the first time Rutgers has done that since the last 3 of 2005 and the first 3 of 2006.
Wow. Jeez,
so when you're talking about this Rutgers offense, when you're talking about this Rutgers offense being good, sure, it's against 2 MAC opponents, but this is something special. Yeah. It's something special, and that's the way you got to look at it.
That's a big sample size. It's a long time since they've had offense like that. And I look back, I keep on coming back to it, and I get it. The program's a lot different, a long ways from where it was. But we're not 5 years removed when they had 7 touchdown passes in a season, right? Ethan's got 6 already against two good opponents. Yeah, it's night and day for where this offense is now. And really it does have the chance, and I get it, the schedule's getting a lot harder. It has a chance to be one of the best offenses in Rutgers history. We could see that.
The writing's on the wall. So let's do this. Let's jump around the Big Ten, what we saw, what we were monitoring in the press box before we jump to our next segment. I jotted down 3 scores. Let's start with the first one you mentioned earlier. Ohio 17, West Virginia 10. The Bobcats came to Piscataway last week, gave Rutgers a real scare. Quarterback Parker Navarro was great. The Bobcats beat West Virginia at home today. I thought it was really good. So what do you think of that result?
Yeah, remember we were talking about on the podcast last week about Rutgers has got to schedule West Virginia. Now's the time. I think it's pretty clear they're rebuilding down there. I don't know how in the world they ended up playing at Ohio. Seems like someone should be fired for that scheduling decision. But yeah, no, I'm not at all surprised by that score based on what I saw last week from Ohio.
Same. Okay. Oregon is coming here on homecoming. The Ducks
that score, though.
Final score, Oregon 69, Oklahoma State 3.
That was the score in the third quarter. Yeah, that's wild. That's wild. Yeah,
when
and all the
talk. The duck, they quack back, huh?
That's right. Yeah. Remember we had another podcast segment earlier. We decided that out of the three teams that, at least I decided, you might have been right on this one, that out of the three opponents, Ohio State, Penn State, and Oregon, that Oregon would be the easiest one to beat.
Yeah,
that's going to be one I'm going to need a mulligan on. I think that does not look like the case right now.
First Big Ten game at Rutgers will be against Iowa in 2 weeks. Friday night blackout game. Iowa State beat Iowa on a field goal. I think it was 16-13 final. Iowa hasn't looked great. Is it a winnable game for Rutgers?
I think absolutely. Yeah. And that's a result. I didn't just low scoring. It's going to look like it's a typical, Iowa game team. That's going to be really, that's probably the first time we see if this offense is truly as good as we think it is against a good Iowa team. But yeah, I think that's a winnable game. Totally. There's no question.
Lastly, number 11, Illinois. Are the Illini overranked, but they rolled Duke today, 45-19. I know you hate Duke as a Carolina guy, so what do you think? Is Illinois overrated, or was that a solid win today?
A solid win, but it looked like Duke shot itself in the foot quite a bit in that game based on the highlights I saw. I didn't see the game itself, but maybe a little overrated. I don't know. I don't have a good feel for that team yet. Rutgers doesn't play them until was it mid-October, so we won't see them for a while. They've got they're obviously be a well-coached team. They've been that way for a while, but it's they should have beaten them last year. So keep that in mind. Like this, it's again, this is not. There's the three big teams that Rutgers will play, and then there's a big drop off to the fourth best team Rutgers will play, which I still think is Illinois.
I think you're right about that too. Okay, let's get back to the Scarlet Knights. We're here on the Rutgers Rant postgame show. Pat Lanny and Steve Politi will be taking your questions in the comment section. We see them rolling in now, so we'll get to them as we go along here. Next up, would you rather, Steve Politi?
Whatever.
Ready?
Okay, I love this segment. This is good.
Okay. Would you rather have Phil Simms or Matt Millen on color commentary?
Phil Simms by a country mile, but it was tough, and I will laugh because I am not one to throw this stone. He had a little trouble with the name Ethan Kaliakmanis. He had a little trouble pronouncing it. It was funny.
Is this a pot calling the kettle black situation? Or what?
Totally, yes. There are a couple of times where he would go Kaliak. like he suddenly he got something caught in his throat, like he's just like Kaliak, and he like tried to remember it in his head. It was great, but awesome. That's good. I would certainly take Phil.
I listened to the first half of Simms of the Peacock broadcast. I thought Simms was great with the analysis and breaking down how open Ian Strong and KJ Duff were, what they were doing to the Miami secondary. Those guys were just had no shot at covering those guys. And I thought he broke that down really well. Clearly, Matt Millen has not been a Rutgers fan favorite for many years now as a Penn State guy who's butchered a lot of names too. So, all right, next one. Bo Masco made the game-changing interception in the first half. Rutgers eventually got a sack in this game on the final drive. At this point, what would you rather see from Rutgers, an interception or a sack?
Interception still. Yeah, it's a turnover. And that was a big play. Like, if you're not going to be a good defense, getting them off the field, you have to make big plays. So at least in some ways, it was a bad throw, bad decision, and an otherwise really good game by Finn. But yeah, I would take that every time. I would take that every time. Yeah. Okay.
Politi was watching at home while you guys were at your tailgates, and I was in the press box. You guys were all wet out there in the parking lot. We were all dry. So the question is, Politi, would you rather sit in hail and pouring rain thunderstorm or listen to the train horn?
I didn't hear the train horn at all. Was there any horn today?
After a couple touchdown celebrations. That was it, though, which I think is acceptable. I think that's acceptable.
Yes, it is just like the random 3rd and 7 when it
Yes.
goes for 35 seconds, where you're like, why are they doing that? Yeah. So, I would rather. That's tough, man. I mean, it looked like the weather was pretty bad.
It's really
And for the record, was covering something else today. A really nice story. Couldn't get down there in time. You'll read it in a couple of weeks, I think, if you're interested. But I would rather hear the horn than get soaked. How's that sound?
from the press box. And then again, I was nice and dry. You guys were all out there in the rain, but there were garbage cans flying down the field in the wind, tents blowing. It was really a scene here in the stadium. So the weather was crazy. Shout out to Joe Martucci, our weather guy, nailed his forecast to like spot on. So shout out to Joe. All right, next one. You took note of this. You texted us this. So I'm curious to hear your thoughts. Save it for the end. Would you rather see your quarterback fight for extra yards on a run or slide?
Yeah, I just thought he was getting hit a lot today. Yeah, and I get it. Like, they don't want to take that away from him because he really is, good on his feet. He's quick, makes good decisions. When he runs the ball, he's very rarely wrong. You know what I mean? Like he almost always is making the right decision to run it. I just thought there were a couple of times he took some big hits that he could have avoided. And the one, it looked like he got up. He was a little, I don't want to say woozy, certainly, because I would have taken him out of the game if he was woozy, but clearly he felt it. And you don't want him getting 15 hits like that in a game, especially given how well he played, how much is riding on him. It's week 2. I'd like to see him slide.
No doubt. Okay, let's take a question here from John Hernandez. Even with the heavy passing throughout the game, typical Schiano fourth quarter drive, run heavy, pushing the other team around, passing on occasion, then passes here and there to put the game away. What did you think of the play calling? Was it did they go in a shell again like last week, or was it an acceptable late scenario, run out the clock?
I don't think Chuck Martin thinks they went into a shell. That's for sure. I don't think he was very happy about the last touchdown. I'm okay with the play calling. Any complaints I'd have about the offense would be totally quibbling at this point. Yeah, I was okay with the way they called it late in the game. I think they wore Miami. Would you agree they wore Miami down, Pat? I mean, for the most part.
Yeah, I do. Absolutely. Look at those runs on that last drive. Antoine Raymond, just so much space. The cornerbacks from the first drive could not cover Ian Strong, KJ Duff. They had no chance. And I thought as the game went along, you saw the frustration from the cornerbacks on that one pass interference on Strong down the field. Just basically tackled him on the play because he couldn't guard him. So I thought there was a lot of frustration from the Miami defense. But you're right. A well-rounded Rutgers offensive performance.
Remember that Miami defense, 17 points.
Right.
Against Wisconsin, I think they were, expected to be one of the better defenses in the MAC. So, yeah.
All right, Pat Lanny and Steve Politi here on the Rutgers Rant postgame show. We're trying to take some questions. So if you have them, put them in the comments section here on YouTube. Politi, I don't know if you're monitoring the Discord, but we could also maybe take questions there. Or is that too professional for this stream?
No, we can handle that. I can go in the Discord. The Discord was lively today. If you're not in the Discord, a lot of cursing, a lot of I just didn't the whole thing the end of the third quarter. I just when things you never see before are going on and right in front of you, like what in the world is happening with this? Are they going to give the ball back to Rutgers? And for a minute there, I thought really like Greg Schiano talked himself out of hiking the ball, like a clear play had been run. What were they talking about? I thought that was really weird. The officiating, can't complain about that if you're a Rutgers fan going into this one. I don't see any. I'm trying to think. I don't see any big questions. Here's a question. I wonder what people will think about. But about Fonseca's headline here: Rutgers blows by Miami of Ohio, but it won't win much if the defense doesn't improve. How about that? People are gonna get some angry emails on that, Pat. What do you think?
Absolutely, because at the end of the game, it doesn't. At the end of the day, it doesn't matter how you that, and that's exactly what Schiano. Like if we did our "What is Schiano going to say" segment, Rutgers won the game pretty handily. It never really felt all that close. Was the defense great? No, not by any means. But it wasn't. I thought it was significantly better than it was a week ago.
Of course, I talked him into using that headline too. This is the sinister stuff.
Politi is the devil. He is the devil, even from his.
Absolutely, go ahead and use that. Yes,
love it.
Good headline, Brian.
Love it.
Totally.
Okay, so what do you think, guys? Ridiculous headline, Politi headline, or a fun second headline? We'll let you answer that. Okay, here's a question from Jordan Edelstein. Kaj Sanders, Rutgers safety, having trouble with the new system or overrated? Kaj was a big-time recruit coming out of Bergen Catholic. He played as a true freshman in the first game last year, got a lot of snaps at safety. You can see the skill set, speed, all that. It's all there, but he has been out of position multiple times in the first 2 games. So what do you think?
Yeah, it's a great question. I agree with you. I think he's talented. I thought Elad as well. I mean, obviously they went out and got him, spent a lot of money on him, which is the new, and we know that simply because they had to make that public, and as they were fighting the NCAA to get him back on the roster, went through a lot of trouble. I just have to think both of those guys are better than we've seen. Like, if you had to tell me one thing, like what am I less concerned about? The safeties improving or the pass rush improving? It's the safeties. Like, I feel like they're this positional thing. There's some, I don't understand it. I don't think it's a scheme thing. The pass rush, I just think it is what it is. Like, I just don't know. Those guys are not getting, they're getting there, but they're not getting to the quarterback. They're not, it's very simple. Like, you get in the area, it doesn't count. Like, I don't want to hear like, oh, they had a chance to bring him down. You didn't, and that to me, I don't know. They revamped that entire defensive line. I am more concerned about that than I am about the safeties. Pat, do you agree? Or are you on the same boat on that one?
I'm in the same boat, and I think maybe it's the cornerbacks have played better today. There's no question about it. But I think positioning was bad. Angles to the ball were bad again. But I think, I don't know if the safeties are overcompensating because players are more open. I haven't been able to see that at that level, but I thought Jacoby Henderson was better today. That was
Agreed.
Positive at cornerback. So
did he get hurt late in the game? There are a couple injuries. I don't know what the be interesting.
I'm not sure.
Tells us because, and then the other one we haven't talked about yet. It's seeing Dante Chin on the cart. They really liked him this preseason, right? I mean, that would be, I get it, maybe not as big a jump off between him and Tyler Needham, but still, take some of the depth away from that line. That's a little concerning.
There was the battle for the left tackle spot, who was going to be the starter, and he won it. Dante Chin had a great camp. Tyler Needham was a returning starter last year at right tackle. You figured he was probably going to be the favorite to win the training camp battle, move over to the left tackle, replace Holland Pierce, but it was Dante Chin. He's had a real good development story here at Rutgers, and he was hurt twice in this game. The second one, like you said, he was ultimately on the cart on the sideline. So we'll see what Shiano says after, but not encouraging. But overall, I thought the line had a solid performance today. So with that, do you want to grade the performances?
Yeah, let's do it. Absolutely.
Yep. All right. Let's start with the 2 guys that were no doubts the stars of the game. Ethan Kaliakamanis, quarterback. I'll give you the numbers here. 26 of 36 for 259 yards, 4 touchdowns, no interceptions, a 72% completion percentage, and a rating of 169.3.
Yeah, that's an A, right? You want to give him the A plus? Let's give him. So we can't give out 2 A pluses. Let's just give him the A and save the A plus for
Ian Strong. Yeah, a career high 9 catches, 116 yards, 2 touchdowns, and was open on every play.
Yeah, right. And he would have had another 100 yards if he wasn't, tackled multiple times. Yeah, it was really an impressive performance. Yeah, A plus for him and Duff. I put those 2 together. I thought, and it's funny. Then you see DT Shuffle get the touchdown late. That was a really nice route, really nice catch there. Didn't maybe have the same great game, but how many receivers can have? You can't. This isn't Kurt Warner's Rams here. You can't have everyone can't get 150 yards. So
it's unbelievable. But yeah, terrific job by the passing game. Next on the list, meteorologists for not only nailing this forecast, but getting the game in a relatively, I know it was a 5-hour game and it felt really long, but the game got played. It was a delay, but meteorologists nailed this. Good job to all the weathermen out there. I'm going to give them a solid A as well.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Right. Totally.
All right. On a negative side, maybe not as good. Rutgers pass rush. What's the grade?
I mean, it's a D. Just for me, just too much time and then losing containment. I don't know. Look at the numbers here. That's all. It kind of says it. They get the 2 sacks late when really the game was over at that point. It was the first time they really wrapped up Finn and got him down. But I mean, 308 yards from Miami. It's not, the numbers aren't pretty. I think it's a D. What do you think?
I think there was pressure, didn't necessarily lead to anything from a game-changing perspective. I'll give him a C because it was a slightly better improvement than a week ago, but not great. And especially when we talked so much in the offseason about the additions and the transfer portal guys that Rutgers brought in. Eric O'Neill had 13 sacks last year. James Madison, Weaver, another huge season a year ago. And we thought that these guys were going to be those disruptive players that had that Rutgers identity and brought that Rutgers defense. So until we see it, it's going to be a C or worse for me. And what's probably even worse for Rutgers fans to see is Wesley Bailey, Renee Congo were just tearing it up for Louisville. And Motere again, 3 great pass rushers that started their careers here are all gone, and the pass rush just hasn't been the same. Not necessarily without those guys because they weren't producing here either at Rutgers for all that much, for whatever. Right. Anyway, okay,
we talked. Give me a grade. Give me a grade on this. What are you giving Greg Schiano for today? What are you giving coaching for today's game?
The game plan was, again, exactly what I expected, right? Yeah. It played out almost to a T of what I thought. So I thought he, again, did a good job. Nothing crazy. Solid B for me.
Yeah, I'd B as well. Yeah, the fourth down call, it was 4th and an inch, so I'm okay with him going for it, but the confusion there at the end, and when you kick the field goal, would have put him up 3 scores at that point. I mean, I guess you could nitpick him there if you wanted to. At the time, the Discord went a little nuts about it, but it's kind of hard to do that 1 week later after they were 4 for 4, 5 for 5 against, a decent Ohio defense too. So I can understand the decision. There's some confusion there, but yeah, I mean, he's got to clean up the defense, and he's
got to clean up the defense. It's just not going to be that week to week fix that I think people are pressing for. People that are talking about defensive coordinators not doing the job. I think that's a crazy notion. I think Rob Smith, it hasn't been great, but
you got to get pressure. He can't make them get to the quarterback better. It's just.
I think it's more on-field performance than what's happening off the field, and that to me, it's hard to blame the coaches for that. So, okay, let's take a couple more questions and then call it a day.
Let's do it.
Make sure you stay with our coverage here on NJ.com. We'll have a couple more stories. Brian Fonseca is doing his reporting from the locker room and press conferences, and that'll be up shortly. So, all right, let's see what we got here. Tindra Dragon Tiger, amazing name. Ohio beat West Virginia today. Does this mean we played a much tougher opener than expected? We talked about this a little bit. I don't know. I feel like we accurately propped up Ohio. I thought they were going to beat West Virginia, and it happened. So
you thought they were going to beat Rutgers.
That's right.
I think it's safe to say there's no question that Rutgers has started the season against not just one but 2 good opponents. That was a good. That wasn't the team they're going to play next week, Norfolk State, right? That was a team and that could be in a bowl game. They could they'll compete in the MAC. Get a chance to win 7-8. I don't know what they're going to finish, but get a chance to win. They'll be above 500. I think Miami. I mean, they've got a really good quarterback. The defense better than they showed today. So I think you will see that team. But yeah, I think clearly the MAC champions, or at least a team that will be one of the teams in the MAC championship game. Is there a MAC championship game? If there's a MAC championship game, one of the 2 teams, we saw them in Piscataway last week, no question.
Ohio beat Miami of Ohio in last year's MAC championship game, which was the interesting wrinkle that Rutgers ended up playing both of them this season. Couldn't have seen that coming from it.
We know a lot about the MAC here. We tell you.
I feel like I'm going to be
a MAC podcast.
When action rolls around on Tuesday night, like a Toledo versus give me another one. Balls.
They're going to be tuned in.
Buffalo's in the MAC now, I think. Right? It's gonna. I may become a MAC beat writer at this point.
MAC authority. Yep.
All right. So we're taking questions here on YouTube. So if you got any, put them in the comments. We'll put them on the screen. We'll give you a shout out, and then we'll close it up here. So we'll take a couple more, and then we'll send you guys off to the turnpike. I got to get home. I feel like I've been here since 7 a.m. at this point. Okay. Lanny, is your first question to Greg about the end of the third quarter? Did he think they didn't need to run a play? Did he try to call a timeout? Politi, you were listening to the telecast. It was kind of so confusing in the press box. So why don't you break down what happened there?
Yeah, it looked like he did, and it was so close. Like it was not even a second between the play clock and the quarter clock, game clock. I think he was asking. Looked like he was asking the ref, "All right, do I have to call a play?" And the ref had to confirm it and said yes. And at that point, there were 3 or 4 seconds left. And it also looked like he was trying to tell them to take the delay. I don't know why he was saving the timeout. And by that point, he snapped the ball. So, I mean, it's just a lot of confusion there. I mean,
then it went to video replay for another 10 minutes to determine if they ran the play in time. It was very bizarre.
He should have just taken the timeout the moment that if he recognized he didn't want to run the play. And the moment the ref said you have to run a play, I think he should have taken the timeout. I'm guessing he'll be asked that question. I know he'll be asked that question. I'd be curious to see what his answer is. But yeah, I mean, it was a weird situation, right? I think that's the best way to put it.
All right, let's bring Brendan back on the screen here. Another great question. Politi, you were around for Jeremy Ito. Who's the better kicker? Jay Patel, who now holds the Rutgers record with 15 straight successful field goals, or Jeremy Ito, who's obviously one of the greatest to ever kick here. What do you got?
I need a moment for Patel. Like I need a game-winning kick. I think at this point, until that happens, one of the greatest moments in Rutgers athletics history is winning that game against Louisville, pointing at the camera. I want to see that from Jay Patel. I have every bit of confidence he will make the kick. I think he will be remembered statistically as the greatest kicker. But I'm going with Ito at this point until I see what happens there with the time running down and he gets trotted out in the field.
I think this will probably be something that comes up on our website at some point. I think Jay Patel, being a local guy from South Brunswick, has a great story. I think he's a very likable guy. If you're looking for like a Rutgers person to get behind, Jay Patel's always out there doing fundraisers. Local kid, gives back to Central Jersey, and like has that identity about him. So I think he's a really interesting person to follow here at Rutgers, and just similarly to Jeremy Ito, right? He had that same kind of everyone who loved Jeremy Ito from what I remember.
Absolutely, yeah. There's no question. The judge, yeah,
the judge.
Yeah, a couple guys with personalities. I caught up with Jeremy Ito on the 10-year anniversary of the kick. Obviously he still goes to games from what I understand. I don't know if he's out there today or how often he gets there, but he's been in the stadium a bunch. But yeah, I think you're right about Patel too. And then you got to remember, like being an Indian American kid in Middlesex County in Edison, New Jersey. I mean, I don't know if there's a state with a higher Indian American population than New Jersey. I'd be surprised if there was. And so, yeah, I think there are a lot of people who root for him, just who aren't even football fans.
All right, let's do our last thoughts here. Thanks for the questions. They were all great this week. I'm glad we were able to work through and get them on the screen. I thought that's pretty cool. So let's do our last thoughts. But before that, what's your Shiano-ism of today? What's he going to say in the post?
That's good. I don't know. It's a be a good one. Is it going to be each game takes on a life of its own? We get that one. We get that one a lot. That's a lot of that one. He tough big picture stuff. I mean, I'm sure there'll be a lot of people trying to get him to bite on a big picture offense question. He doesn't usually do that, but I would love to know what he thought, where he thinks comparatively, confidence wise, this offense compares with some of the better ones.
That's a great question. Will he heap the praise of Ethan Kalik-Manis and Ian Strong that they deserve? He's always kind of tempers not expectations, but doesn't want to overplay, but doesn't shower people in praise as a head coach. Like he understands the temperament, right? You don't want to get these guys too high. Will he go out and say that was one of the best games I've ever seen? Not ever seen, but I've seen from a receiver here.
I think he certainly will praise them all. He'll broaden it out to all the receivers and the passing game in general. And I think he will. He's mentioned this. He's not afraid to point out the 30-point stat think he's going to mention that again. That's a good Shiano answer. I think that those are a couple of directions they'll go in, and the defense. I mean that he's got to be concerned. He's got to be.
Okay, so last thought. We hit on how great the offense was, our concerns for the defense. What's your walk away from today? What should fans be thinking about as they hit the final stretch of their drive home?
I mean, I think, put the defense part of it aside. I think you should be pretty optimistic. You should be enjoying this. They're fun to watch for a change. And again, I mean, I just come back to it, and I know it's been a long time, but I mean, there's so many unwatchable teams that have been there in Piscataway. Like, we have suffered together, fans and media, with Johnny Langan bouncing passes, and no offense to Johnny, he wasn't a quarterback, but just stuff like one passing yard in some of these Big Ten games, just unwatchable. You have an entertaining team. They're good at Florida State. You're going to come back. You're going to be 3-0, and I get it. It's a shame that Iowa didn't win. They will not. They but never beaten. I think that's what you should be thinking about.
I think the best part, if you're a Rutgers fan, is that the hope is there. Every game is getting more and more important. You're going to get your shot to upset one of the best teams in the country. You're going to have an amazing game against Iowa to look forward to. As long as Rutgers keeps things interesting, which, like you said, Norfolk State should be a business day. Then you get to Iowa, and then things get really interesting from there. So far, so good. Defense has been problematic, but you would think that it would get better. I'm still in that boat, so I will leave it at that, and let's sign off there. Thanks for listening, guys. Thanks for the comments. Rutgers 45, Miami of Ohio 17. The Scarlet Knights are 2-0, and the offense is absolutely on fire. So we'll have our Rutgers Rant podcast next week, and we'll break it all down again in depth. Thanks for listening, guys.